Hey everyone, this is Holly Knutson and I'm a functional health practitioner from Utah. And today I'd like to talk about symptoms of inflammation and why you shouldn't ignore them. What do cancer, heart disease, and diabetes all have in common? You're right if you said inflammation. Inflammation underlies all disease states and conditions, and many people in today's society are inflamed. In fact, I would say that you're in the minority if you're not inflamed. Inflammation is typically associated with injuries and wound healing. Although pain, swelling, redness, and heat are common signs of inflammation that we're all familiar with, there may be symptoms you're not aware of that are associated with inflammation. It's important to recognize the ways in which inflammation manifests and deal with it before it becomes a raging fire. Inflammation is the body's way of protecting itself, which is a good thing until it isn't. What is inflammation? Well, inflammation is an immune response to a perceived threat, and this could include infections, injuries, or any type of illness. Ideally, the inflammatory response should initiate healing and then subside when the threat is over. Problems occur when the inflammatory process doesn't turn off and it smolders out of control. This eventually manifests as painful symptoms that can really reduce your quality of life. It can take years for signs and symptoms of inflammation to manifest, when in reality, the inflammation has been brewing for years and it finally reaches a tipping point. This is why inflammation is called the silent or the secret killer. Many inflammatory conditions are treated with over-the-counter remedies and prescription drugs that are, by the way, inflammatory in and of themselves, without much thought to what the underlying cause could be. Symptom relief rules. When acute inflammation continues unabated and becomes chronic, it takes a toll on the entire body. Over time, this depletes the immune system and can lead to inflammatory diseases such as cancer, autoimmunity, heart disease, arthritis, and accelerated aging. Eating inflammatory foods, chronic stress, lack of exercise and sleep, smoking and drinking alcohol, and not getting enough of the right nutrients are like throwing gas on glowing embers. Inflammation will eventually cause symptoms, which are signals from the body that something isn't right. What are the mechanisms behind inflammation? The immune system is key to maintaining health. Its job is to protect us. If there is an infection in the body, cytokines, which are immune system molecules, rush in to contain the infection and prevent its spread. The system goes awry when the immune system begins attacking the inflammation, creating an autoimmune response in which the body attacks its own tissues. The immune system produces numerous cytokines, some of which are interferons, tumor necrosis factors, interleukins, C-reactive protein, intrinsic factor, colony-stimulating factors, and chemokines, which would include macrophages, T cells, endothelial cells, and fibroblasts. Monokines and lymphokines are cytokines produced by monocytes and lymphocytes, which are both white blood cells. During an acute inflammatory attack, prostaglandins, which function kind of like hormones, heal damaged tissue by causing the blood to clot. Prostaglandins are responsible for the classic symptoms of inflammation, such as redness, swelling, and stiffness. They are what induce fever and pain, and these are important components of the healing process. In fact, the effectiveness of aspirin lies in its ability to prevent prostaglandin release from injured tissue. Prescription medications have been developed to inhibit certain cytokines related to specific diseases. In the case of rheumatoid arthritis, drugs prevent the binding of interleukin-1 and TNF-alpha to their corresponding receptors. NSAIDs, or nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, target COX-2, which is an enzyme implicated in pain and inflammation. 5-LOX is an inflammatory enzyme with high levels corresponding to degenerative diseases. The COX-1, COX-2, and 5-LOX enzymes are 3 primary contributors that are implicated in inflammation. Inflammation, although a primary protective mechanism, also has the ability to cause disease. Finding and eliminating what's causing the inflammation is vital to halting its response. Certain conditions can result from the over or underproduction of cytokines, and this can include cancer, arthritis, and asthma, just to name a few. For instance, in rheumatoid arthritis, interleukin-1 and tumor necrosis factors are overproduced, and this can cause tissue destruction. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms of inflammation, step up your anti-inflammatory measures to quell the fire. Memory problems, including brain fog, anxiety, and depression, fatigue that doesn't lift, chronic headaches, bags under your eyes and dark circles, edema, water retention, and puffiness, GI problems, including bloating, constipation, diarrhea, and intestinal cramping, allergies, a persistent cough and sinusitis, joint pain and muscle spasms, acne, eczema, and psoriasis, high blood sugar, and insulin resistance. Those are 2 biggies. Here are some strategies to reduce inflammation. One of the best ways is through diet, and since we eat 3 times a day at least, it's one of the factors that can have the most impact. Work on swapping out inferior meat with grass-fed meat, range-free poultry, and wild-caught fish. It'll cost you more, but it's cheaper than heart surgery. Toxins accumulate in animal fat, and not to mention that low-quality meat is full of estrogenic pesticides, GMOs, and antibiotics. This is a great first step. Buy organic produce and grains, and assure that everything you eat is non-GMO. GMOs are essentially antibiotics and will wreak havoc on your gut. Stay away from them. Pesticides on fruits and vegetables are estrogenic, which pose numerous problems for both men and women. Grains are desiccated, meaning they're dried, with glyphosate, which is GMO, to make them easier to harvest. And buying organic is not always enough to protect you, but it's a start, and it's something that you can do. The proteins in gluten and dairy are inflammatory, and you can greatly reduce your inflammatory load by eliminating or reducing the amount of these foods that you eat. Soy and corn are allergenic foods and are both GMO. Soy is a hormone disruptor and is hard to digest. It's problematic for many other reasons as well, and its consumption should be greatly decreased. If you like eating soy, choose foods that have been fermented. They'll be much easier to digest. Blood sugar and EMFs. Eliminate trans fats, sugar, and processed foods. They're inflammatory and they will fuel existing inflammation. Buy high-quality oils like coconut, olive, and avocado oils. Reduce the amount of alcohol you drink. Now, a glass of wine here and there isn't a big deal. It becomes problematic when alcohol is consumed in ever-increasing amounts, and it's really hard on blood sugar. And when your blood sugar is imbalanced, this is one of the main causes of inflammation and the one in which you have the most control. Another cause of inflammation is exposure to EMFs, or electromagnetic frequencies. Most people don't have a clue the dangers that EMFs pose. Our bodies detoxify at night when we sleep. If you're exposed to EMFs from your phone or from Wi-Fi, your liver won't be able to effectively do its job. One of the functions of the liver is to clear toxic estrogens. If it can't do this, these estrogens are recirculated, which is dangerous. In my opinion, this is one reason female cancers are on the rise. The inability to clear estrogen is dangerous for men as well. At the very least, put your phone on airplane mode at night to reduce your exposure to EMFs, which do promote inflammation. You can connect your Wi-Fi router to a timer so it goes off at night, and then it automatically will turn back on in the morning. This one strategy will decrease inflammation significantly. Drink out of glass or stainless steel bottles instead of plastic. Not only is this better for the environment, it will decrease the estrogenic load on your body. Also, be cognizant of what ingredients are in your cleaning and body care products, and make sure they don't have toxic chemicals in them. Unfiltered water is toxic, and it contains dangerous and inflammatory chemicals. Filter every glass of water you drink. I use a zero water filter, and it's not expensive and is an incredible investment in your health. Also, swap out your microwave for a toaster oven. And just plan on everyone in your family complaining for a while. They're going to be bugged, but don't worry, they'll adjust. Microwaves change the molecular structure of food and deplete minerals. Minerals are absolutely vital for the body to function properly. And if you're going to take the time to buy and prepare food, it should at least be nutritious. Just as you can control for the most part what you eat, you can also control how much sleep you get. Now, I know there will always be extenuating circumstances, but the majority of the time you can put measures in place for adequate rest. The body heals and repairs during sleep, which is crucial for keeping inflammation in check. So practice good hygiene by setting a strict sleep schedule that works for you. Keep your room cool and dark and dim the lights by 10 o'clock so your body can start producing melatonin, an antioxidant needed for restful sleep. Spend time outside with your feet on the grass. Grounding is amazing for reducing inflammation, and you'll get your vitamin D from the sun at the same time. Many people are low in this critical vitamin, which is really a hormone that is needed for your immune system to function optimally. Detoxification and stress reduction. Toxins are inflammatory. Detoxification techniques like fasting, colon cleanses, and infrared saunas will keep toxins from accumulating. Exercise is also a great detoxifier and mitigates stress. Rebounding is fun, and just a few minutes a day is enough to stimulate lymph drainage. Deep breathing also detoxifies and reduces stress. Concentrate on your breathing while you drive to and from work. Detox doesn't have to be time-consuming. It's what you do most of the time that will pay the biggest dividends when it comes to your health. Food sensitivities are a significant factor when it comes to inflammation. You can be sensitive to any food that you're eating, and this could be almonds or carrots. When you eat something your body can't digest, it disrupts blood sugar, imbalances hormones, and causes water retention because the body views the offending food as a toxin, and it surrounds it with water as a protective mechanism. Food sensitivities are another reason to keep an eye on your blood sugar. Suspect a food sensitivity if your blood sugar rises abnormally after a meal, and you should know that if you're tracking your levels consistently. You can get your blood tested to find out which foods are causing inflammation. This is important because you may not experience any symptoms after you eat a food that you're sensitive to. CRP, or C-reactive protein, is another helpful lab that will assess the amount of inflammation present. Infections drive inflammation. Common infections include Epstein-Barr, cytomegalovirus, candida, molds and mycotoxins, mycoplasma species, herpes, and Lyme disease. These infections can remain undetected for years, and they fuel the inflammatory process. Optimizing immune function is the best defense in preventing and eradicating these viruses. And I will put some links underneath this video that you can click on if you want to test for some of these infections. And you may not know this, but negative emotions, especially unexpressed ones that fester, are toxic. And remember, toxicity is inflammatory. Find ways to express and release your emotions and practice self-care consistently. Don't underestimate what a little nurturing, done regularly, can do in terms of improving your physical, mental, and emotional health. Here are a few anti-inflammatory supplements that I have found helpful. Now remember, supplements should be just that, supplementary to a nutritious diet, not a replacement. And here are some of my favorite anti-inflammatory supplements. Omega-3 fatty acids. Fatty acids positively influence inflammation by acting on intracellular receptors, altering gene expression, and balancing the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. Probiotics. A high-quality probiotic taken consistently can optimize the immune response and reduce inflammation by balancing intestinal flora. Vitamin D. Low levels of this prohormone are associated with inflammation and decreased immunity. The B vitamins. Insufficient amounts of B vitamins correlate with high levels of C-reactive protein, an inflammatory marker. Magnesium, my absolute favorite mineral. Magnesium lowers stress and inflammation and neutralizes inflammatory toxins from yeast. Garlic, ginger, and other spices. The sulfur in garlic is anti-inflammatory, and ginger decreases the inflammatory response. Antioxidants. Vitamin C is a powerful antioxidant that reduces inflammation. It does a lot of other things as well. Curcumin. This is a pigment found in the spice turmeric that reduces inflammation. Boswellia, an herbal extract that is thought to neutralize the effects of 5-LOX. Remember I talked about that? It's an inflammatory contributor. Minerals. Minerals drive essential processes and are anti-inflammatory. Proteolytic enzymes. Enzymes eradicate bacteria, viruses, and yeasts. They improve blood flow, dissolve blood clots, and reduce the symptoms of inflammation. Essentially, they clean up the bloodstream. In summary, inflammation is rampant in today's society. Fortunately, you can put systems in place to curtail it before it rages out of control. Live a healthy lifestyle, find ways to reduce your stress, express your emotions, and do something you love every single day. You are the most important agent when it comes to controlling inflammation. You'll also prevent chronic conditions from developing, since inflammation is an underlying factor in all degenerative disease. Do you have any of these symptoms? Did you know they were related to inflammation? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching.